once we build it, you will understand why we needed to cover all this debouncing and everything. Even though we have fixed the transition bouncing, push button will be high for quite a long time. As soon as I push it, these LEDs will show the, doesn't matter how long I keep the push button pressed. Hello everyone, welcome to day 19 of the 100-day FPGA series. In this video, we are going to be doing a mini project, okay? So in the last video, we had covered button debouncing, and there we had seen that how push buttons did not really give a clean transition, right? When we pushed, it did not go from 0 to 3.3 volt directly, right? It bounced between the transitions, right? So that we fixed it there, and you can see that video. Today in this video, we are going to be implementing those concepts, and we are going to be making this tally counter, okay? So what is a tally counter? A tally counter is basically a device that counts, okay? We push a button and it increments the counter, okay? So that we are going to be building over here, and once we build it, you will understand why we needed to cover all this debouncing and everything. So let's go and build it. So let's go into Verilog and we will build this entire project. Alright, so this is our last code. We are going to be reusing this debouncing code, debounce button code. So we'll create a new module first. In the input of the tally counter, we'll have clock, reset, and we'll have the push button, okay? And in the output, we'll have the LEDs, okay? We'll count on the LEDs only. So we'll have LED. So this entire debounce code we would require because we are using a push button, and whenever you use a push button, you need to care about that bounce thing, right? So here we'll paste this entire logic. Let's write another always block. So this always block is for the counter, right? So here this LED variable itself will be acting like a counter. So here I'm doing LED equal to 0 when there is a reset condition. Here let's think about the logic. So if we directly write if our clean signal, and if we increment it here, like if we increment the counter just by writing this, what is going to happen? Right, so what is going to happen? This clean signal, even though this transition itself is clean, but if we directly write this if PB clean equal to 1 and if we increment the counter based on that, what is going to happen? This entire thing is going to be registered, and because the clock is very fast, lots of clock cycles would pass until we lift our finger, okay? So you can imagine something like here we have a push button, and if we push it and if we take our hands off, it requires some time, right? Even though we have fixed the transition bouncing, this entire push button will be high for quite a long time, and by that time lots of cycles of the clock would have passed, and that is why we cannot directly increment, right? Otherwise what is going to happen? This counter is going to count lots of times, right? So that's why we need to have some kind of a rising edge detector logic, right? So here we need to capture the rising edge, and as soon as we see the rising edge, we need to output a single cycle pulse, and this will be used for counting the tally counter, right? We have seen that in day 17 where we had made a rising edge detector, right? So here using the same logic, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a last state, right? And this last state, in that video also I had said this last state is one cycle behind the actual value of our signal. So this is our actual signal, which is PB underscore clean. So last state, if we assign it using non-blocking assignment like this inside an always clocked block, then what is going to happen? This last state will be one cycle behind the actual PB clean, okay? So that is how we will be tracking the 2 points, and that is how we will be determining the rising edge, okay? So in now the condition will be if my last state, now last state is 0 for the rising edge, last state will be 0 and the present state will be 1. So the present state right now is this PB clean. This is the present state, right? So this variable, if this is high and this last state variable, if that is low, so last state is this, if this signal is low, right? So if I do this condition will be true only when the last signal is last state is low and the present state is 1, right? So this signal is going to be, this condition is going to be true only on the rising edge of the of this clean signal. Okay, so I'm going to do begin, and as soon as I detect a rising edge, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have LED equal to LED plus 1, right? I'm going to increment the counter. So this is done. Other thing that you can do is you can generate this rising edge pulse as well. In the day 17 video I have told you how you can generate this pulse, and there we have discussed about the width of the pulse and how wide it should be so as the other always block detects it. So you can we have covered everything in detail in that video, so you can watch that video as well. So here you can generate this pulse, and you can use this pulse in another always block where you can update the LEDs, okay, counters. So that can also be done. Here what I have done is I have dynamically, like in a single block, I have basically detected the edge, and as soon as I hit the edge, as soon as I encounter a rising edge, I am not basically pulsing a pulse. What I'm doing is I'm directly just incrementing the counter itself, which is our prime goal. Okay, so this is how we have basically incremented the counter. So this is done. So the output should be reg, since we are changing it inside a always block. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to include all these files inside the Vivado. So we are going to create a project. Here I'm going to add my sources. So this tally counter I just made, I'm going to add it. Next thing, I'm going to add the constraints. So in the constraints, as you can see, we have input as clock and reset. Okay, so clock and reset, we'll grab it from here. For the LEDs, I'm going to use the 15 onboard LEDs, which will act as the counter output. Okay. And the last thing is we need to add the push button. Now in the last two videos I have used external push button. Right now I'm going to use the onboard push button. Okay, so this onboard push button will also behave the same as external push button. It will also have it will also have bouncing problem. It will also have all those things as the external one, right? I had used the external so as to make everything nice and clear about push buttons. So now we will transfer it on the internal push buttons. Okay, so let's grab a push button, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to synthesize this thing, and then we'll see the output on the FPGA. Okay, so let's synthesize this and let's generate the bit stream. Alright, so the bit stream has been generated. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to program the board. Alright, so now the board is programmed, and this is the reset, the central one. This upper one is the push button for the tally counter. Okay, so as soon as I push it, these LEDs will show the counter values. Okay, so let's push it. As you can see, it came from 0 to 1 then it will go to 2, 3, and as you can see, it is counting in binary. Okay, doesn't matter how long I keep the push button pressed, since we are only detecting the rising edge, we are going to register that as once only. Okay, And next thing, this is bouncing. Because of the debouncing logic, this is not registering lots of rising edges. Otherwise, as I've told you in the day 17 video, there I have showed you that when I push the push button, the counter registers like lots of rising edges, right? Because the transition has lots of rising edges. So here that problem is also sorted. So this is the tally counter using the push button on the Nexus 4 FPGA board, and this is implemented on the FPGA. Alright, so just like that, we have completed our mini project on tally counter. Okay, so we have implemented tally counter on our FPGAs, and this project shows how we have basically used this debouncing, button debouncing, to register the push buttons. Okay, otherwise what would have happened is in the day 17 I've shown you what would have happened. Lots of rising edges would have been registered and the counter would increment lots of times, right? So we have handled two things. We have handled the rising edge thing, and we have handled the button bouncing thing as well. So both of these things have handled, and that is why this tally counter is behaving correctly, right? So I'm expecting you guys to build this on your own as well. Do a slight variation. Okay, do some kind of variation in this design, do an external button or something else, but make this design on your FPGA board, and there you will learn lots of things, right? So just build this design, implement it on the FPGA board. One more thing that I want to make clear is usually when you sample an external signal using a faster clock, like we are doing right now, what we usually do is we usually double flop it. Okay, so double flopping means synchronizing the external signal with the clock. Okay, that is important, and I have skipped that over here, and still it works because of certain reasons. Okay, so that I will discuss in the timing analysis and all those videos. When I do, I will make a separate video about all those as well, and there we will discuss why that double flopping is important. Okay, so this design is not yet robust. Okay, because here if I double flop it and implement stuff without explaining the theory behind it, like the timing analysis and meta stability and all those things, if I do not explain, then it will be not justifiable to use that, right? So I will use it, and I've told you right now that you should use it. You should double flop this. This is not a robust design yet, but we'll do that in next few videos where we will learn about timing analysis. So that we will learn in the later parts of the series where it will become important and critical. Okay, so right now, for now, this will work on the FPGA, and this design is like very nice. Okay, we have solved lots of issues. Only one issue is there, that double flopping issue that we haven't done. We will do that once we learn about the timing and everything. So today we have covered the tally counter implementation of our FPGA. So this is our mini project, so we have done it. So thanks for watching.